No, not sure. I'll just do a little quick demo on the side on how we get rid of our fractions. If we have 5 over 6, we have to multiply it by an LCM, which would be 6. So they cancel out. We're left with a 5 times a 1. 5 times a 1 equals a 5. So our fractions can cancel out. If we have a whole equation, we have to multiply the entire thing by the LCM. So what's the LCM? 4. In most cases, we're only going to have one fraction. There's going to be some times when we don't, though. So what we have to do is have to have y times a 4 equals negative 3/4 x times a 4 plus 5 times a 4. And you guys are pretty good, so you might not even write that. But I wrote it to show that this cancels to a 1. So now we're left with 4y equals negative 3x plus 20. Our fractions are gone. Again, a lot of you can show your work in the beginning of the question and might skip a step. Only if you really understand will I let you do that. Okay. Now all we have to do is move all our terms to one side. So this is what I'm talking about with solving to the right. If you move this one over here, it's pretty easy. But what kind of x value would you have? Well, you'd have a negative 3x. So somebody might say, well, that's not right, so I'm going to move everything over to that direction. And then this minus 3x would become a plus 3x. I'm going to show you both methods. Okay? So I'm going to show you, first of all, solving everything to the right side. Okay? So what I would do, actually I'll have space here. I'm just going to move this over. I know you can't, but I can. So move that over. Okay. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to minus 4y. Minus 4y. And so I'll get 0 equals negative 3x minus 4y plus 20. Okay. But again, the problem is I have a negative 3x. So what I have to do is I have to multiply everything by a negative 1. And that's a fancy way of saying all my signs have to change. So I'm going to get 0 equals positive 3x, positive 4y, minus 20. Now I'm in general form. No fractions, positive x value. Now the other way of doing this is by moving my x to the other side. So I add 3x to both sides. Right away then, I have a positive 3x, a positive 4y, and on the right side I'm left with a 20. Now I move the 20 to the other side, minus 20, minus 20, and I'm left with 3x plus 4y minus 20 equals to 0. Exact same thing, isn't it? So you have to do what you need to understand this, to learn this, but you got to get the same answer either way. Now some of you can see both methods really quickly and you're probably, holy cow, this is easy, boom, 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 really quick. Others will show all the steps, others won't. Okay, but if you're getting the wrong answers, you better go backwards and start showing steps. Okay. Next one, B. Sorry, any other questions? Let's go, like, seriously. Yeah, Mary?
Did you just make the LCM from, like, the beginning negative 4?
Yeah, that'll work too. Yeah, you could make it negative 4 and then solve everything on the right side. That's pretty top end though, right? Like most people aren't going to see that. Okay. Any other questions? No? How many people really understand what I just said? Okay. All right. It's tough. Once you practice it, it's going to get easier and easier. Tanvir, question? Because fraction skills are weak, right? So we're not sure what to do with the fractions, how to move them.
From 4y
Yep.
Move all that to the left side.
Yep.
That turns negative 3x positive right off the bat.
Yeah, that's what I did right over here. Right. That's this way of solving. I just showed two different methods. That's all. So people could see both sides, both ways. Okay. Okay. So here, the problem here is your brackets. You want to get rid of your brackets, otherwise you might end up multiplying twice, and you don't want to. So let's rewrite it as y plus 4 equals negative 2/5 x plus 6 over 5. Now how are we going to get rid of that? Multiply everything by what? 5. So we get rid of your fractions. Okay, let's hold on here. You guys are looking at me confused. Are we okay with this plus 6 part? No? Okay. So what we're doing is we're taking the fraction and multiplying it in. So I'm going to show that work over here. It's negative 2/5 times 3. And what we do is we multiply our top numbers. We can't cancel it all, so we have negative 2. So this is a negative 3, pardon me. It's a negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. So it's positive 6 over 5. Are we okay now or not? Okay, give you a second. We multiplied the fraction into both parts of our brackets, and so we have a multiplication of negative 2/5 times negative 3, and that's what I'm showing over here. Now, it's negative 3 over 1, so you multiply the bottoms, but we don't really care because it's not going to change. Okay. Any questions? All right. Now, next, so multiplying by 5, so we're going to get 5y plus 20. I showed less work by multiplying in by 5. I know, Connor, you need to pay attention. You need to write this down. It'll help you learn. Multiplying by 5, the 5's cancel, and you're left with negative 2x plus 6. I'm going to go and show more work now. Okay. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to move that down. Shh, quiet. So it's y times 5 plus 4 times 5 equals negative 2/5 x times 5 plus 6 over 5 times 5, and they cancel out. Any questions? It's pretty intense, isn't it? I know, crazy. You can get to get right answers. I'm used to those types of things, though. Okay. So now, do you want to move your x's to? You want to move everything to the right, or move everything to the left? Yeah, to the left, because then your x becomes positive right away. So I'll show lots of work here. Plus 2x, plus 2x. So we get 2x plus 5y plus 20 equals 6. Move the 6 to the other side. 2x plus 5y. Do we add the 6 or subtract the 6? Subtract both sides. So we get 14 plus 14. And there's nothing on the right side, so it's equal to 0. And that's the general form. Okay. Any questions? How many people are showing less work? Yeah, you can show a little bit less work. I'm showing a lot. When you get good at it, you're going to be able to go from this step right down to the answer, because you're going to see the pattern really quickly. Right? Move things to the other side and change your signs. That's essentially what you're doing. Right? You're doing the opposite of adding and the opposite of subtracting. Okay, so let's start practicing that now. So here's a typical question, whole bunch of junk. We got to simplify it into general and slope-intercept. So first of all, let's multiply this out. Go. Multiply it out. We're going to go to general form first. So 5x minus 15 plus 2y minus 5 equals x minus 10. Collect like terms, please. Collect like terms. So don't move anything across the equal sign yet. That'll be too confusing. 5x plus 2y minus 20 equals x minus 10. Okay, now move your x over. So how are you going to move this positive x? Yes, just subtract it. And so you're left with 4x plus 2y. You guys want to do two steps at once? Why not? What about this minus 10? How are we going to move this minus 10? Exactly, you'd plus it. So plus 10. You have to do the opposite. So we're left with 0 on the right side and plus 10 on the left side. Oh, negative 10. Thank you so much. Negative 10. Okay. Good. What form is that? Is that slope-intercept? General. Okay. So now what we do is we can start with our general form and change it to slope-intercept. So we have 4x plus 2y minus 10 equal to 0. Okay, so now we have to change it into y equals mx plus b. That's the form we need. So start by moving, let's say 2y equals, I'm going to do more than one step here. What needs to move to the other side? The 4x. How do you move it to the other side? Subtract it, right? Stuff we've done. What about the minus 10? How do we move that to the other side? We add it. So on the other side, we go minus 4x plus 10. And that's exactly what we write down below. Minus 4x plus 10. Okay. How many people are okay with that step? Hands up. Connor, you had a question though? That's what's left over here, right? 2y doesn't get changed at all, so we just rewrite it. Okay? Any other questions? Please ask. It'll really help you. Yeah, we're not done yet. So what we have to do is get rid of that 2 in front of the y. So what's the opposite of 2 times y? Divide by 2. Now here's where you got to be careful. You have to divide both sides by 2. So not just the front term, but both terms. That's where you might make a mistake. So we're left with y, but what's negative 4x divided by 2? Negative 2x. What's positive 10 divided by 2? Plus 5. Ah, it's like a work of art, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful? I tell you, love this stuff. Okay. Now it's easy to graph, isn't it? Wow, it's so easy to graph. You know your y-intercept, you know your slope, bada bing, bada boom, done. Just like on your quiz today. Okay. Questions, please ask, folks. I'm taking my time because this stuff's so important. You're going to do a whack of this stuff. Whack is my term for lots. You guys okay? All right. When you're practicing and you make a mistake, you're not getting an answer, see me right away. Because I'll show you where you went wrong and then you can stop doing it and get right answers. It's, seriously, you've got to ask. It's going to help you so much. And we've got peer tutors at the back, which will really help too. Experts, right guys? Okay, next, find the y-intercepts. So, for the x-intercept, which value is 0? Is x 0 or y 0 for your x-intercept? What are you going to make, Connor? Yeah, a little diagram. Here's x, there y. So when we're crossing the x-axis, which value is 0? Your y equals 0. What about for your y-intercept? Which value will be 0? X will equal 0. Okay. So first of all, let's find your x-intercept. 5x plus 3y minus 15 equals 0. For your x-intercept, y equals 0. So we're going to go 5x plus 3 times 0 minus 15 equals 0. Go ahead, solve for x. So we get 5x plus 0 minus 15 equals 0. 5x minus 15 equals 0. 5x equals positive 15. So what's the x value? 3. So for your x-intercept, we get a 3, comma 0.
Why is it equal positive?
Because I have to add 15 to get it to the other side. Yeah. Any other questions? I went fast, I know, sorry. Any other questions? Going once, twice? Okay, your turn to practice. Now we'll try and solve your y-intercept. So it's going to be x equals 0, 5 times 0, plus 3y minus 15 equals 0. Now you know what? I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you a shortcut. No. What do you notice about both sides? Look at this 15. What are you going to have to do with this 15, folks? At the very bottom, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to kick it to the other side. So why don't we kick it right at the beginning, right? We know it's here, but why don't we simply kick it over, right? Why don't we just add the 15 here? That's easier to work with. Makes it easier, up to you if you want to use it. You don't have to, I don't care. But you substitute in your 0 value and then you solve for the other one. Finish that off now. Let's go solve for it. So for your x-intercept, you'll get a value of 0, 5. Questions, please ask. You really need to ask. Hina, what's your question? Nothing? You're okay with this? Prabjo, questions? Are you sure? Yes, Scarlett.
Are both, for the x-intercept and y-intercept, are they both 0? Wait, first the y-intercept 0, 5, and then the x one is that?
They're in different spots, right? So for this one up here, this is your x and y values, see? And here's your x and y. So what we can do, now we're going to do this in a second, right? But with your intercepts, you can plot, this is 3, 0 down here, right? That's 3, 0. And 0, 5 is up here. Right? That's 0, 5. So what can we make now? Straight line. Well, use a ruler. Okay. So that's why we're doing this intercept stuff, is you can make a straight line then. Okay, it's our last form of graphing. Does that answer your question, Scarlett? Any other questions? Please ask. Okay, now I'm just going to show you a shortcut. The reason why I like this one is because I can see my answer a little quicker. I can set this equal to 0 plus 3y equals 15, y equals 5. I can also set it up as, right? I can now set this one to 0, so 5x plus 0 equals 15, 5x equals 15, x equals 3. So it's a little bit of a shortcut, you can do it faster. Dylan. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'd only use this if it is a multiple of 15. If you get a fraction, you're guessing again. So you don't want to use this at all. Okay? Now, the other thing you got to be careful of, and I'll show you right now, you've got to be careful that the sign is an addition. Because if it's a subtraction, you've got a problem. One of your intercepts, there's a common error that you can make. And we'll talk about it when it comes up. It's going to be in our notes, and I'll show you, okay? And in fact, it's in this example. I can see it right now because it's a subtraction. So what I want you to do is I want you to graph this. Find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept. Do that now using equation A. Okay? So just use this equation, find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept. Again, what has to equal 0? What has to equal 0? Make your chart. Let's go back up to number 3. Okay. It says here to find the slope, and that's really important. Okay. What is the slope? How would you find the slope? 5x plus 3y minus 15 equals 0? What kind of equation do you have to turn it into to find the slope? Yeah, y equals mx plus b. Right? You're going to have to turn it into y equals mx plus b. For slope, you need to make it y equals mx plus b. Now there's a shortcut. Anyone see the slope? Because I look at this and I'll tell you what the slope is right away. It's negative 5/3. Any idea where I'm getting the 5 and the 3 from? Here's the 5. So if I move it over, it becomes 3y minus 5x. Who cares about the 15 part? That has to do with my b. I'm just concerned about my m. And then I have to divide by 3. Negative 5/3. So you can look in your equation. There's 5 and 3. Okay. And I can see my slope right away. I just have to make sure I change the sign. Because what happens to your x when you move it to the other side? It becomes a negative x term. Let's try something real quick. 3x minus 2y plus 10,000 equals 0. What's the slope? Yeah, whatever. What's the slope? Nope. Negative 3x divided by negative 2, which is positive 3 over 2. Because when you move the x term to the other side, it becomes negative 3x. Right? Just like here, we move the 5x to the other side, it's negative 5x. I'll give you another example. Let's say it's 5x plus 2y minus 7 equals 0. What's my slope? Negative 5 over 2. Okay, let's do another one. Negative 7x minus 3y equal plus whatever. Who cares about the rest? What's my slope? Yes, 7 over negative 3. There you go. So really you can write it as negative 7 over positive 3 as well. Dina?
Why does it go like 7 over negative 3?
Well, what you got to understand is that your x value will change, but your y value will stay the same. You'll just be dividing by it. Okay. So if I had an equal sign, When I move it to the other side, this has to be the opposite operation in order to do that.
You always have to use that.
Right? Have to do the opposite operation to move the x term, but for your y term, you just divide by what you have. So y equals 7x divided by -3. Okay? This is the first year I've ever showed people that. Normally I just say do it the long way and suffer. It's up to you. If you know it, you can use it. If not, do it the long way and suffer. And then probably after you do it 5 times, you'll be able to see it. Most classes don't start seeing it to the review, but your choice. Okay? Go for it. Find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept. You gotta do the math. For the x-intercept, which value is 0? Exactly, your y has to equal 0. For your y-intercept, which value is 0? X. Okay. So you don't want to get a wrong y value. You want to make sure that you're getting the correct value. To make a graph now, it's easy. This here is 2, 0, which you can plot. This here is 0, -5, which you can plot. Please graph that now. Go. Okay, so there's your graph. Again, it's really simple because you found an x-intercept and a y-intercept. Remember that this is your x-intercept, and so you have a 0 y value. This is your y-intercept, and so you have a 0 x value. Yes? Sorry. If you don't use a ruler, yes. On your quiz, you have a piece of paper. The edge is straight. So just fold it and use that as your straight edge. Okay, any other questions? Okay, graph the next equation. Go. Put your hand up as soon as you're done. Yeah, it's so easy, isn't it? If you know what you're doing. I'll help you out. Move this to the other side. So it's -7, x equals -7. We talked about this as we went over the quiz yesterday. Where's -7? X equals -7, -1, -2, -3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So x -7 must be all the way along this line. And let's just make sure I move it to the other side. It doesn't like that, does it? But now it's happy. There you go. There's the line. Okay. Any questions? Yep.
Isn't that going like on the y? Like if it was x equals -7, shouldn't it be going to the other way?
No. This is -1, -2, -3. This is -7. All these values have an x value of -7. Okay. So that's why we have to graph it on that line, -7. What about y equals 3? Graph that line, please. Y equals 3. So this is x equals -7. Please graph y equals 3. Okay, and so there's the line y equals 3. Does that make sense, Scarlett, doing them both that way? Okay. Okay. Any questions? All right, now we got some good questions. Woohoo! Equation of the line goes through this point. That's the point. Write that down. Perpendicular to this. What's our slope, folks? Well, what you gotta do, first of all, is figure out the slope for this question. You might need to change it into y equals mx plus b. Find your slope. Go. Find the slope of that line. You have to rearrange the question. Rearranging the question to y equals mx plus b. Now I look at this right away and I see that the slope is -3 over -2, which is positive 3 over 2. But I'm going to double check. So minus 3x, that's how I get the -3. And I'm left with -2y equals -3x. I'll move this to the other side at the same time. Okay, so 2y equals -3x plus 12. Then I'll divide by -2. And I'll divide this one by -2 as well. Although I don't care because I'm only going to focus on m. So y equals positive 3 over 2x. Okay. Minus 6. But again, your focus is on your slope. So again, I made my x value negative and I just divided by the y value. How many people can see the shortcut? Okay, that's fine. Alright, now we have a problem though because we don't want the slope. What kind of slope do we want in order to be perpendicular? Yeah, we want m perpendicular. So what is that? That equals -2 over 3 because we have to change it. Are you okay with flipping that, making it a negative? It's called the negative reciprocal. You should have done it in your homework. So now we can start with slope point. So we have y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. We have y minus 5 equals -2/3 x minus -1. So I took this point and I put my values for x and y and I used my slope that I found. So that's an awesome question. So much cool stuff to do. Got to be careful. Got to know what you're doing. All right, let's work through it. Now we have to change it to a general. So y minus 5 equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. I'll fix that sign up. A lot of you people, I hope, went straight to that. That'd be great if you could. Right? If you could see that you're subtracting a negative, that's strong stuff. And so now I'm going to go and do my math. Y minus 5 equals negative 2/3 x minus 2/3. Which should I multiply by to get rid of my fraction? 3. Okay. So you get 3y minus 15 equals negative 2x minus 2. Everything has to get multiplied. You okay with that? Did I skip some work? Yep. If you need help with this step, see me and I'll show you exactly what I did. Okay. All right, finish it off. Put your x's, everything to the right or everything to the left. Your choice. Personally, I'm going to go to the left to get rid of my negative x, but it doesn't matter what you do. You have to do both because they're going to force your hand to make sure you understand. There's your answer. 2x plus 3y minus 13 equals 0. Not negative 0, that's wrong. You have to, otherwise you're not making an equation. It always has to equal 0. Always. Okay. So I added 2x to move it, and I added 2. So I have to do that to the left side as well. There we go. That's my work. Any questions? Same stuff over and over. Okay. Any other questions, Chandra?
You want to do the slope point form or anything?
Yeah, you always start there. Always. For the final, well, general form is usually what they go to, unless it says y equals mx plus b. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So you have the slope y equals mx b, but it doesn't have to just plug in.
Oh, no. No. That'll be, yeah, they'd have to find what B is, though, right? But for this one, they wouldn't do that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Doesn't have the, yeah, they don't have the same B. I'm not going to go over it. No, it's yeah, it's way above. Okay, here we go, folks. Real life question here. You guys are okay? Bell's going to go soon? Yeah. That's all right. Very wrong. Not at all. Because I know what time it is. Oh, poor drama teacher. Oh, I feel sorry for him. Not at all. Alright, it's Mr. Bill. Advanced tickets for local concerts sold for $8 each. Tickets at the door were $12 each. The revenue from the ticket sales was $11.20. Woo! Write a linear equation relating the number of advanced tickets A to the number of tickets sold at the door. Express your equation in general form. So what they're saying is, this would be advanced tickets A. This would be tickets at the door, D. And this is what their total revenue was. So now we're going to make the equation. $8 times the number of tickets at $8 plus $12 times the number of tickets at $12 would give their total value. Wow. That's pretty straightforward there. you have to use a different variable for the $8 tickets than the $12 ticket variable. And then it equaled their total revenue. Okay, we're going to have to start getting used to that because we're going to do a ton of that stuff. Okay. Now it says here, suppose twice as many advance tickets were sold at the door. How many of each type were sold? I want to go there. I don't know if I want to go to this. Hold on for a sec. I don't want to mess you guys up again. Yeah, good. Okay. So, here's the question for A. Are we in general form for A yet? No, why not? Doesn't equal 0. Okay, so 8A plus 12D minus 1120 equals 0. Now you're in general. Okay. Cross off B. I don't want to go there. That's honors. Forget it. Example 7. Here's another classic. Here's the equation. There's the slope. What's the value of B? So again, let's do some more practice here, folks. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with this. It's a really easy question. 5x minus plus 2y plus 7 equals 0. What is the value of m? Flirtatious. So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to focus on this part because this is where a slope is located. What 2 digits are a slope going to be? No, what 2 digits? We're going to have a 5 or we're going to have a 2? 5 and a 2. That's what it's going to be. And we have to know which one goes on top.
No, 5. Negative 5.
Okay. I'll go. Minus 5x.
Where'd you get that? I'm good.
Push it over to the other side, so you, instead of adding, you subtract.
Wait.
What are you doing? Just get outside. Go out. Out. So minus 5x, both sides. So what goes on top? Minus 5x. So you know right away that your slope has to have a minus 5 on top. There's no questions about it. It comes from the x value. So what are we going to divide by next? Right? Ignore the 7. Completely ignore it. Who cares about it? That's your b. We don't care about b. We're going to divide now by 2. So your two numbers come from your x and your y value. Put your hand down. If I have 3x plus 2y equals something, what is my slope going to be? Negative 3 over 2. It's coming from these two numbers. This one you have to make negative because that's how it moves to the other side. Always, always, always. You ready for one more example? I'm not going to say anything. Let's just see if you can do this now. Here's the example. 7x minus 3y. What does your slope have to be? Don't say it, write it down. You might want 2 steps here, because this is a harder one. We might have to simplify stuff. Put your hand down. I'm going to give people a second. Okay, oh, so go ahead. Yeah, that's the answer. Yep.
Sometimes it makes you y over the top. Is it just a bigger number that's on top? Like
No, your x value is always on top, because it's the first thing you move, then you divide by your y value.
okay.
Always.
5, right? And it has -5 and like, y value.
Where?
Example on the grid.
Which part?
Example number 3.
Yeah, 5 is from the x value. Look, x value. That's why it goes on top of your slope. Yeah, I know. Okay, who has it? Ian. What's the first step? Good, make the 7 negative, then what do you divide by? And then your final answer is what? Okay. How many people got that? Hands up. Okay. Now, next one. Here's the equation. There's your slope. What's the value of b? So now, I want you to use the exact same thing. What's your slope going to be for this line? It's a number divided by a letter. Beth. -6 divided by b? Perfect. So what does that have to equal then? If it's the same slope, -6 over b has to equal +3 over 2. Yeah, so how do you get those fractions equal? First of all, b has to be a negative number. And in order to get this to a 6, you times it by 2. So you got to do the same thing on the bottom. So it would be a -4. Because -6 divided by -4 equals 3 over 2. You can do some hard algebra if you want, but it's easier if you don't. Chandler.
Wouldn't it be simpler to teach them the algebra, otherwise you just give it trial and error?
Have you seen the algebra skills? Have you? I've gone super slow because the algebra skills aren't there, Tanvir. Remember, you're in grade 11 doing grade 12 math for a reason.
You know, but you do a lot of trial and error with your times and like you just
Have you seen the algebra skills, Tanvir?
invest some trust in the kids. If you
I am. And those. And here's a fact though. Those that can do the algebra probably did do the algebra. But if they can do the algebra, they'll be able to see this method easier.
I was never taught that. The algebra would they be like getting a little bit of a shorthand in the later years?
Not really, because we're doing a lot of algebra later on, though, right? Trust me. We'll continue this after lunch. Yep. Yeah, you're welcome to leave your stuff. I'm locking up.
Oh, really?
Could the following students please come to the office? Annie Koch, Dave Baker, Cameron Casco, Sebastian Gibson, Serena Saroa, Madeline Hanson, Tanvir Brar, Justin Roberts, Katie Asaf, Nicole Carras,
Yeah, you leave there. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Same length, I think. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. General form of the equation. What type of line has A equal to 0, B not equal to 0, and C being any real number? Okay, so why don't we substitute that in? Let's have a look at the equation when we make A equal to 0. So we have 0 times x plus by plus c equals 0. What happens when you do this multiplication? When you actually do 0 times x, what happens? It cancels out to 0. We don't need to write it So we're left with by plus c equals 0. Okay, because 0 plus by simply equals by. Have you seen this before somewhere? Let's move the c to the other side. So we're going to subtract c, and we're left with by equals negative c. Then divide by b, y equals negative c over b. Yeah, we have to get b to the other side as well, so divide by the letter b. Now, I could have stopped, tell you the truth, I could have stopped right there. What do you guys notice about that equation? We graphed one of those suckers earlier today. How many variables do you have? Ian? You have one variable. You basically have an equation y equals some other number. So what does that look like on a graph? Okay. If I was to draw a quick graph right here, what would that look like? Say it's y equals to 3. That's going to look like a straight line right here. Right? So, what type of line is this? By the type of line, we mean vertical or horizontal. What would you say, Emily? The answer being? Well, it's a 50-50 guess. I'm sure you heard because you weren't talking. Pay attention. Okay, it was either vertical or horizontal. So don't believe everything they say. Okay, so this is definitely a horizontal line. It's flat, it's horizontal. Okay. Any questions? All right.